eat your vegetables.
One last kick and I'll be gone. Make it count with the blood on. Never really felt like I belong, so I'll be on my way and I won't be long. I'll be dead by dawn. 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 Scrolling through my texts, she done left them red.
All right. What's up, everybody? Hello, and welcome to We Grow Wednesday. It is Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. Let's go. It's 8 o'clock Central Time, as usual. Got about 6 minutes till the Mountain Time, 7:10. So get your dabs ready because tonight is going to blow you away. We have a very, very special guest. But before we get into that, guys, make sure that you hit those like buttons and share us out. We are going to, we have a little bit of a challenge to the Facebook community to see if we can get those numbers up there tonight and do a little bit of a giveaway if we get to that point. But it's not exactly the focus, of course. So let me pull up. Actually forgot to get the Kicksters pulled up because Kick supposedly is one of those platforms that says they're cannabis friendly. So I want to make sure we look out for that Twisted Cannabis raid. They come through and raid us once in a while. I forgot I didn't have it up here, but we are going to pull up our guests in just a moment, guys. Give me a second here. I'd like to make sure I see everything before I go back to my other screen. So tell us how you're doing, guys. I see a whole bunch of you coming in from all over the place on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Kick. And here it is. Okay, I see the Kick chat now. Good. Now let's see who we got tonight, guys. We have actually someone I met in person not too long ago. I'm actually pretty happy about that. But now we're going to get down to talking about a little bit more in depth for a little bit. But here is tonight. Yes, you guys saw it. You knew it was coming. I've been talking about it for a few days here, but we got the Soil King in the house.
What's up, everyone?
Coming in like lightning and thunder. Yes. What's up? So I just want to say that it was really awesome seeing you out doing your thing in person at the event. So we're gonna get. Maybe I'll ask you about that, how you got into doing events and stuff from working with soil, right? Like we do want to talk about some soil tonight, and obviously I want to get into the growing and stuff like that, but I don't want to stay there, right? I want to find out what it is what do you do? Do you play video games? You like to watch movies? Do you like to
I'm an entrepreneur, man. I ain't got time for
yeah. Well, exactly. You don't have time
businesses.
for none of that. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's right. You do a lot more than just the soil. So I guess let me just hear it from you in your words, man. Who are you? What do you do? What's up?
My name's Patrick King. I'm a fifth generation bloodline Johnny Appleseed. This shit's in my blood. It's who I am. It's where I come from. My memory of being hands in the soil, growing was the first. When I was 3 years old, was my first memory. I've always grown everything. There's always been no segregation in agriculture in my life. I grow flowers. I love sunflowers. I got a sunflower addiction. The best cannabis in the world. There's no, all botanicals. So there's no segregation in agriculture, right? This place that we put us in a box, and we'll probably talk a lot about that. It's just not it's not a box that has boundaries for me, and I don't fit in it anymore, right? Because plant botanicals save lives, and it's just, to isolate cannabis is just not something I fight and I'm an activist for. So with that, all the companies I built and I own, obviously the Soil King, which has been a lot of things, been a production TV company, massive soil yards, huge garden centers up in Sonoma County, California, Emerald Triangle, Mendocino, and Trinity, Humboldt. I took care of that entire region for many years.
Wow.
I was the first license given in the state of California for micro license. One of the exact first, I think I was the first. My city, I prepared to have the first accepting licenses in the state of California. I was the first rosin solventless manufacturing facility in California. I still own that. My other companies owner in is Rosin Tech Labs. If any of you own that, we started many years ago with that company, as well as Seed to Soul, which is distribution manufacturing, cultivation, breeding, nursery. We've done all of that under there. So, I mean, this the whole thing from the picks and shovel on both sides in my blood. First time I was in handcuffs at the age of 11, grown weed in a pine tree. I've been to San Quentin.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Terms for this plant. I mean, I've done just under 7 years of my life incarcerated in one fashion or another.
That's we've actually talked about that a bunch on People in the Boxes. The different, like, how weird it is when you come out, and it's but not to go down that road. But yeah, we were just talking about that recently, actually.
Yeah, so there's so much. I'm a builder developer. I built, design homes, custom spec subdivisions, I'm in the process of building out upstate New York right now in cannabis. But besides that, going back to no segregation in agriculture, agriculture or cannabis and agriculture is if not the smallest, it's really small part of agriculture. I mean, it's like less than 1% of agriculture, way below that in numbers if you're looking about production. But in general, it's less than 1%. But it's the most powerful plant in agriculture. And the reason I say that is because I'm a warrior for the plant. I fight for the plant. The plant is in cannabis agriculture. When legal cannabis came to California, and Colorado back then, accepted tolerances for testing limits, parts per million. They put cannabis to a level that was unattainable. All of it, the big ag did. So we would never. That was a trick for them, never to let us have momentum, because they said, okay, well, we'll legalize this, but we'll make the testing limits so high that they'll never be able to accomplish it, and the industry will collapse and fail. What they didn't know is there's motherfuckers like me that have been out there for a long time doing this and testing our stuff way before legalization ever came. And I didn't have to change nothing from the plant to the soil to the fertilizers to nothing through the whole chain of cogs in the system. So when I say no segregation in agriculture, plant botanicals save lives, and the most important part of agriculture is cannabis. For that reason, it's going to change the world of agriculture, because now that bar is set so high that was unattainable, and agriculture's down here, and now we call out all this dirty fucking food that they get away with calling organic, and all this bullshit labeling, and the destruction behavior of killing humans in the name of medicine and in the name of healthy food, so that's where my warriorism is. It's fighting all that. So no segregation in agriculture. Cannabis, you're not putting me in a box. I get put in a box all the time. And that's why you don't see me really posting a whole lot. I do cannabis I do a consulting all over the country for licensed, legal, and non-legal farms. Both markets for me. I still work both markets. I'm still supportive of both markets. I'm still in both markets, and for me, it's always shot my algorithm down. Oh, he's a cannabis guy. Oh, I can't get anything, and I can't do world change in regenerative agriculture with responsible farming practices up against these people that are in the regenerative farming movement that look at us and say, oh, he's cannabis. He doesn't have nothing to share. Motherfucker, because I'm cannabis, I can teach you everything you need to fucking know. Like, really, like, this is our culture. Right. So
name one other plant that is not as versatile, because we all talk about that, but name another plant that is so, I wouldn't say finicky, but so widespread on how you can take care of it, like what you can do with it. Yes, the versatility side, I love that too, but the side that it takes to perfect it, you definitely could do that with almost any other plant and be better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah,
connection.
I totally get you.
I don't know of
Yeah.
another plant. I mean, there are some plants that are tough. Like I heard blueberries are really difficult because of the pollination. You have to make sure, you know, you have the right ratio and pollinators locally and stuff. I couldn't do blueberries indoors. That would be tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's soil, acidic soil, and there's a lot of things for blueberries, you know, that have to. They're perennial, so once you get them established, they're not like cannabis or annuals that, you know, you have to pull out and start over every year either. So there's a benefit, but that grow pattern to produce fruits and to produce pollen and to produce bricks in the sugar, you know, content in blueberries, it takes a lot of real shit under the ground that's producing that. You know, so you're right. Yeah, it can be finicky, but there is a lot. You know, there's plants that are finicky, man. I just went to what are those? Oh man, I'm going to forget the word, but those little cactuses that are in the air, right?
Yeah.
What are they called?
Air plant.
Yeah,
air
plants.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of those, and I'm having a difficult time out here. I'm in Arizona right now, and with them because I gotta soak them in, you know. Clean water, and you know they're timid. They last a long time, but as soon as you don't do something, they die off fairly quick. But if you take really good care,
Venus flytraps, man. You ever done any like carnivorous plants?
Yeah.
There's another one too, like I don't know, looks like a big gourd or whatever that I forget what it's called, but that, you know, they drop in and get killed.
Yeah, Hawaii. I live in Hawaii a lot. I'm out there on the Big Island, and we got some fucking cool Venus edible plants that eat shit out there, which is cool. You know. Yeah.
So cool. I'm indoors though, so that's why I keep thinking eventually, you know, maybe not in my house, but my plan is to have like a facility where you can have different rooms that are controlled to different environments, and you could grow, you know, specific to environment things like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like growing mushrooms out in the desert in containers with humidity. I mean, you got to control the environment to get the yield properly out of it. And indoor is good. And you know, my thing is living. I'm living soil. I consult and grow indoor living soil in beds, and it's super like no-till kings. You know, no-till kings. You know, on Instagram, if anybody's heard of no-till kings, whose soil they grow in? Me. Big roots. We kill it indoors.
Well, where can we? Is it okay? I guess just that's a good topic to touch on. There, is it the best place to find most of what you do on Instagram? Are you a big Instagrammer?
Yeah, I'm trying to get out more on that. My website's thesoilking.com. Everything's
that's
pretty much.
At. Go to the website, everybody. That's what's up. What can they get on the website, like just in general, like different topics, like
soil? I mean, it's harvesting stuff. So I got some harvesting stuff in there. Soil, Mr. B's green trees. And next year, we've been working on R&D with a lot of fermentation projects out here right now that are blowing people's mind. And those are all going to be coming down the line. We've been beta testing. I consult with farms. South Dakota is a huge greenhouse, living soil, and outdoor farm, and we've been killing it. We're the only living soil out there that passed testing. Everybody else fails and has to start over. And we're growing the best weed.
Failure?
Yeah, it's a hard failure, right?
What's the typical failure that they have? Like, is it a bacteria?
Heavy metals.
Okay.
Heavy metals in living soil. See, most people that are just here's, like I say, I'm both markets, right? And so for me as a soil provider, my focus is if I can provide in these states Soil King approved products, fertilizers, bacteria amendments, like fungal, and we build these colonies of healthy bacteria and fungal. And my whole thing is I build successful runs for licensed cultivators in living soil. Not many soil providers can ever say that, because their soils don't pass heavy metals. And it's been an issue that I fight across the country, actually, because the problem with people that are converting from synthetics to organics in living soil is that they it's scary to convert, for one. For two, it's a lot of work to switch that over. Now you're not doing, Rockwell or Choir, you're doing beds. And so there's a little bit of upfront, because you really want beds, or or huge pots, bigger pots, but you want beds, and you don't ever have to, buy a bag and throw it away. Use a bag 10 plus times, so your soil,
Right.
once you're invested in it. But the synthetic side of this converting over is it's a little, I tell when I'm consulting, I tell, big facilities, just let's start with a section, improve the tech, so you can really see the numbers and how it's going to save on your product. And a lot of employees don't really believe in the organic process, so they don't put their heart and soul on it, and they end up saying, see it fail. So doing it in small scale to improve the tech is always the way to do it. And what I've been seeing all across the country in licensed facilities is those who are putting in heavy metals are using my competitors and other soils, and those guys don't test their inputs. And so we're seeing this large, investment going into converting to living soils and then failing for heavy metals. And it's up to guys like me and those soil providers and manufacturers out there that don't give a fuck about testing your shit before you sell that volume to a licensed cultivator. You're destroying people. And the conversion rate back from living soil back to synthetic, because synthetic worked and it was easier, is that what we're seeing. So we have to have integrity, honesty, and do our due diligence and research on who's providing, what it is. And so that's what I've been seeing mostly. So again, it's out there, but you just like when you go into a food farmer, you got to trust your farmer. When you're buying soil, you got to trust your soil manufacturer, man, your fertilizer manufacturer. Stuff is super important to do it.
That's exactly the issue, is that people, they don't get that connection with the people anymore, because, and as you get bigger, I'm sure you're having this problem too. It's like where you become more and more separated from the product. If you get too big, kind of have to make that decision, like, well, do I want to have a team of people doing this mix and me not touching it at all, or do I want to have that hands-on as you get? And so some of these companies have gone way bigger than that, and they get to the point where you don't know what's going on with their product. And I think some people have been turned off by some of the commercial products. I don't know if that's just a forever thing. As any company gets too big, people will look at it as like it's too commercial. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
they're right. You start getting to these MSOs, the multi-state operationals, the Curas, and all that shit out there. It's crazy because it's not about the plant. It's about the dollar. It's not about the people and employees. It's about the dollar. And it's not the industry we created. It's not the culture that follows behind it. It's not the love and respect for the plant. And at that point, you kind of lose it. Of course, it's a business and we all have to make money. But let me tell you what, the people I'm working with and consulting for are making fist and overhanding money right now because they're producing the highest yields and the best quality, and they can't grow enough on their scale, right? Because
it's a longer term thing instead of that short grab, that quick grab.
Yeah.
Where we find some of these farms that get a bad rep because they will grow in mass quantity and, chop early and rush it out, concentrates or whatever. Speaking of which, I was telling you earlier, I made my first bubble hash ever, and I want to turn that into rosin because to me that is the top dog of concentrate. Well, so you say you own a rosin company. Would you say, I'm probably guessing you would say rosin is the top dog too, but like out of all the ways that you've heard it, what all the slang terms or whatever, what do you like?
I'll put it in the
diamonds. There's the sauce now. You've got live rosin, live resin. There's, let's hear you guys in the comments, guys. Comment below. Tell me what what you've heard.
So there's a lot of people don't understand the difference. What is live resin and what is rosin, first off. So most people will go in and you'll ask the bud tender because the bud tenders really don't know shit. There's people out there that do, but for the most part, it's an underpaying job, and it's unfortunate because we're selling, somewhat medicinal products. But the difference between rosin and resin, there's a hydrocarbon extraction and there's organic ice water hash process, and that's rosin. Rosin is solventless, and resin is solvent-based extraction. So in a solvent-based extraction, and there's a lot of people in the thread that know all this, but I'm just giving a kind of just the basic portion so people can understand it. The hydrocarbon, which would be the resin extraction, is, they strip it all down with solvents. They break each individual part down, and then they pull the terpenes out, and then they rebuild it, not with the same plant, right? So they're putting it together. They might get, some THC or some distillate or whatever they're going to use over from one part. They might, and then they're, bringing in fake terps or terps from they're buying from somewhere else. And rosin, that was resin. Rosin is totally different. It's from the plant of the plant. And with resin, hydrocarbon extraction, you can take shitty material and make good products. With rosin, you can't take shitty material and make good product. It starts with the genetics. It starts with the soil. It starts with the love of the plant. It starts with the timing. It starts with it starts with a perfect harvest time. It starts with how you harvest. It starts with bringing it in. It starts, there's so much to it. The expression of terpenes and the expression of the plant might not even be there for it to be worthy anything. It might not wash good. And we say wash percentages, you want to get, well over 3% on a return, up to 6 if you can. An average, well over 4.5. And some of these plants look really good, and you grow all this stuff out, and then they're producing, under 2% or 2.5%. And in production, it's just it doesn't spread out on the dollar. You're not making money with that. So and with hydrocarbon, with the resin, it doesn't matter. You can extract the ones with the lowest. You can build it back any way you want. You still have a cart, or you still have a product that you can sell from. So the craft isn't in the resin at all. The craft is in the rosin.
Right, and I think solventless is what attracts me, because I swear I can tell my lungs, and I've developed allergies, and I can tell when it's back in the early days I could really tell if it was made with BHO, because it wasn't purged properly. There's ways to tell, but now even if it looks nice and it's purged properly, I get a cough that I do not get when I smoke rosin. Period.
Totally. 100% clean. You got clean rosin. I'm so fucked up, and I'm such a snob. If I smoke rosin pins and they come from us, right? And I'm used to it. And I can't smoke a distillate cart. I can't smoke a hydrocarbon cart. I just can't. I can't do it. And when I drag on something and taste fake terps, it fucking makes me really angry. It's like, how could you ruin the plant like this? How do you think this is okay? This isn't flavored tobacco.
Well, I got this here. I showed you before, and it's actually, these were plants that I didn't really care about, but I did get them all the way through. I don't even know what the strain was, but it turned out into some good hash. Now, I don't know if that will translate to rosin per se. Now, I don't know if you have to make it into I tried to bump it. I don't know if you have to make it into a dry sift or whatever. I mean, or is
you could dry sift it for sure, but you don't have to either. You can learn how to. I'll send you I'll send you something that will answer all kinds of questions for you.
I can go down to Level Up. Steve from Level Up, he has the old press, and I can use the press. So good little thing.
I would give it a shot. You're having fun with it already, man. Go all different ways with it until you figure it out.
So we had a couple questions. Jay's in the UK here, and he doesn't have all the tools available, and it's obviously harder to keep under wraps and such. And he's trying to make it concentrates, because he's got his own reasons, but I think it's probably a lot of reasons. It doesn't smell as bad. It's not as easily detectable. So what would you say the cheapest way, like home style making dabs, would be of any kind of concentrate?
So making dabs, is he growing your own weed? Is that the idea as well too? Okay, so it's the cheapest way is always to start following the process of living soil. It really is, and the expression of the plants with biologics, the terpenes are more dominant. They win more awards, even Kissed by the Sun, you even win more. And this is all factualized. This is the truth. And it's been the data has been collected and proven.
I think he means how you make it, like how you process it once you have the grow part down.
So after, okay. I mean, I would just go, you can go to, I mean, did I put it in the comments, Rosin Tech, the website? I don't know if I did that yet.
Can you order to the UK?
Huh?
I didn't see it. Can you order to the UK?
Connect. How do I
He's in
connect?
the UK.
I think you can order to the UK.
You could open a second tab and just go to Facebook that way. But the Connect is going to
join chat. It's not letting me join the chat.
Yeah, you won't be able to. You have to pay for that. I can type to.
So if you put in Rosin Tech Labs, Rosin TECH Labs.com, you can go through that. Actually, that's my business that for rosin, and then we have what's the other one is where we have all the other stuff is Mastermind. I mean, you guys can send me messages and I'll send you stuff.
Yeah. We'll see, Jay. We'll talk to you, brother. I know not everything's easy to get over there, but
I have my soils been over there with Moonlight Gardens and other fertilizers and stuff. So I've been distributing for 5 years in the UK.
Oh wow!
He hasn't reordered. Yeah, he didn't order last year, and so he's gonna. We've been talking recently for him to gear up with orders. Moonlight Global. I don't know exactly, but that's my distributor in the UK for soils and anything picks and shovel. Is over there.
What's the soil here is Big Roots, right?
My soil here is Big Roots and King Kashi compost, and I have Baby Roots. But those are the three main things, and of course they're all tested again.
I just put 2 bags in my my grow table, I call it. I'll
awesome.
Pull a picture up. I don't know if you saw that. I'll show you a picture of what I'm gonna do. And I have worms and some arthropods in there and everything, awesome. And I'm going to make it a sort of living bed as a regenerative bed as well.
Awesome, man. That's so awesome. I mean, and it's fun, when you can actually get your hands in the soil and feel it every day, and there's plenty. So, there's a couple things I want to touch on. One is on the soil, just so you got 2 bags, just know that it's super tested. It's 1 part per million or less for heavy metals. None of my competition can say that. And that brings to the last question. We're talking about the conversion back from synthetic or living soil to synthetic has failed things. Most soil providers don't really worry about big commercial growers there because any backyard or home grower never tests for these things. So they can get away with selling dirty products under the organic label all the time. And if I could tell you right now, a few competitors that you are thinking about, if that's who they are right now. And the answer is yes, that's them. I'm not calling anybody's name out, but I'm a hard ass when it comes to it because I am a grower. On my bag, it says growers for growers, right? We build stuff because we build it for ourselves because we can't find anything better or clean, and so, yeah.
Right. You wouldn't need to otherwise, right?
I wouldn't need to. And I could sell all my soil to you guys, anybody out there that's not legal, and you wouldn't even know if it failed. And I'd sell it to you, and I'd make a lot of money doing that, right? But that's not who I am, and I'm the business face up here. I have integrity. I give a fuck about you and this culture, so it means a lot.
You're doing a lot too, man. You do a lot. You just not just like you just mentioned most of it, and I can't imagine juggling all that too, and then going to events all the time. I'm sure it's fun, but also like that's work too. I know it just from me trying to get footage at events. Like that's a nonstop job just to get every booth. I forgot one. Right? So
I love educating, and I love being educated, and even things I get corrected on that I'm wrong on. I love that because it makes me think I'm not always right, for sure I'm not always right, but I put everything in that I got for people like you. I put it all in, man.
I'm just learning out here, just trying to feeling through. I'm playing with different things to see how, what I like better, what I don't. And just speaking of that, I guess here's a picture of my current little grow setup that I built. I built this out of some like repurposed wood.
It's awesome.
And I've got like a pond liner. This bin up here has holes in it, so I can have like a deeper soil area if I need to.
Cool.
For potatoes and such. And then
awesome.
I just have kind of growing random stuff in it at the moment. Actually, these were all plants I had growing in microgreen trays. They grew too big, they're no longer microgreens, and so I transplanted them. Yeah, I'm just trying to mess around. I think this table, I don't have a lot of grow space, but I think I could do an auto in here. I think
Oh
I could
yeah,
do
you
an
could.
auto.
Well, you totally can do an auto in there.
I got a mixture of, real worms and their own worm castings. Then I put some worm castings from Soil Food in there. As you can see, the 2 Big Roots bags.
Yep.
So this was before I put those in it, actually. It's a lot more full now. I need to take a new picture. But the other thing, so I got cocoa core in there, help to feed the worms and then fill the table in. Some clay pebbles and some biochar from Food. So there's some biochar in there, which is kind of cool. It wasn't a huge
Awesome.
bag, but I spread it out throughout there. And anyway,
that's great.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions on pest prevention and such with this type of setup? So I have, if you can see the powder, it's all sulfur. I put organic sulfur powder around on things, kind of sprinkle it around. That does a pretty good job so far. I haven't seen any issues with anything.
Utilizing the sulfur?
It's supposed to be good for powdered mildew and for several different pests. And
there, I'm in. Yeah, So IPM, that's a good one. First off, there's a lot of problems with people having white flies and things like that. That comes from overwatering. That's stimulated from overwatering. White flies are a nuisance. They're not going to harm anything. You don't want a bunch of them around you, so you want to controls. There's different controls you can do. There's beneficial controls as well as, and that's what I always like to use. There's cleaner products and Amazing Dr. Zymes. I've launched that product. That product's out there because I took it under Soil King approved products and launched it, and it's worldwide right now. Me and Michelle, the original owner of it. And so, but there's a lot of other products that are out there too, but the perception of a lot of people that are really, so let's talk about bugs.
Yeah.
Let's really just dive into just that. I love to kind of just zero in on the layman side of things a little bit. So, if I'm in a grocery store and I'm looking at all the produce, or I go to a farmer's market and I look at produce and there's no bugs on it, I don't want it. Okay. If there's no bug holes in it and it hasn't been eaten by something, there's a reason why there's no bugs on it, right? So if the bugs can't eat it, I don't want to eat it. Not saying that we want an infestation of it, but there's something that's been put on that's keeping everything away. And if it's keeping everything away, there's an issue. This is going to food. So if you really go to regenerative, you go to the same you go to the farmer, you go to the same farm, or you go to the same farmer's market and you pull into a real farm to table regenerative farmer, you're going to look at his produce and you're going to see,
imperfections.
Imperfections and how it's growing. And right then, that he's really doing it with Mother Nature, because Mother Nature is bugs. And without healthy bugs, and healthy bugs,
fruits. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And same with fruits. Exactly. It's the same thing. And with healthy bugs, it keeps away bad bugs. So if there's no healthy bugs and there's no bad bugs, that's not a very good sign for food you really want to eat. It's a nuisance indoors when you're growing indoors on things, but I'd rather use preventative bugs, healthy bugs, than bad bugs to kind of knock down colonies of it could be fungal, it could be all different types of things, larvae.
There's a lot of good indoor bugs.
Yeah.
Asia is in the chat here. I don't know if she's still in the house, but she's a somewhat enthusiast for praying mantis. And 100%. I would love to put a bunch of praying mantis in this table, man, crawling around like they're a little army guys, man. It's gonna look like
I love praying mantis. I would in my garden center, I sold praying mantises, and I would open them up and let them run all around, put their nest out and just let them run wild. And I had praying mantises on my desk. They'd run up my arm and my finger, and they'd look at me, and you could pet them. They're like the best pets ever, and they're super intelligent. People are scared. What's that?
Never got bit or
they don't bite you. They're not going to bite you. No, they got things, but they're not biting you, man. They're really intelligent, and they're like, it's so crazy. I could have a praying mantises. I've had them around me all day for days at a time. Same praying mantises on my desk, hanging out with me, and they're not scared of me. They're looking at me, and they're watching me, probably saying, "Who the fuck is this dude?" But anyway, But yeah, they're a great preventative bug for sure, and they're fun. Just like
Yeah.
bees. You don't want, bees are such a necessity. You look at growing corn, a corn kernel. That if you ever looked at corn growing on a stalk, and you see the hairs coming off it, they say that wait till the hairs are burned out and then you harvest it. But every one of those hairs is attached to a kernel of corn on that husk. Every one of those hairs has to be kissed by a bee or touched by pollen in order for that single corn on the cob to become a corn on the cob. So bugs are so important, we don't want bugs in it, but it's just so important to have healthy varietals of pollinators and everything else.
I think it's something that I want to do the same thing. I have some sprays that I could use that are organic, but I don't necessarily want to do that. I like ladybugs; they're really fun too.
Yeah.
But they don't. I have a whole thing. We did a whole like 2 or 3 weeks where I showing the evolution of that. But the praying mantis, I think, would be a little bit better predators for any big issues coming. But that was also it was a after the fact issue when I tried to introduce a bunch of ladybugs. They died.
Ladybugs are good. The problem with ladybugs is everybody, they leave. But why do they leave? Let's talk about that. Ladybugs are raised. When you open a carton of ladybugs, there's a little piece of cotton in there, and that little piece of cotton in there is soaked in sugar water. Okay, ladybugs are in mass production are raised on sugar. They're not raised on aphids. They're raised on sugar, so they rather have the sugar. So they would they'll grab the aphids and eat a few, but that's not the diet they were raised on. So they take off looking for sugar. Now, if you put sugar in your garden, they're going to start coming back for that sugar. They're going to like that. So it was crazy stuff I've done on beta testing. One of them was with russet mites and ladybugs, and I did I used to have, it was crazy, but I had russet mite gardens where we purposely would infect russet mites on plants and come up with different texts on how to get rid of them way back when it was difficult. And it's so fun. It's actually fun. And
I think so too.
What's that?
I think so too.
Yeah. And so it was the one that I did that I loved the most was I said, hey, let's get some powdered sugar. And we infected aphids all over these plants, right? So the plants were eating it, and I go to let go of the ladybugs. But I said, let's take sugar water and let's saturate the plant with sugar water and cover all the aphids with sugar water and see what happens. Man, all my ladybugs stayed around forever. It wasn't aphids. It was russet mites. Not aphids. It was all russet mites. And those ladybugs stayed around for weeks and ate every fucking russet mite off those things. It ate them all. And all I could say is, man, that's sugar-coated russet mites right there. They're just feeding on it and loving it. They stayed around, wiped it off, and was gone. So
that's interesting because I did almost the same test but without the sugar. I had mites and I wasn't scared. Some people will run and duck and hide when you say mites,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, let's see what we can do. I talked about it to the audience. I was using something called Prime Superior. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's a natural Bavarian Bassiana. It kind of does the sort of what do you call it? Like a mycelial layer. It's good stuff if you keep up with it nonstop. But the issue was I was given some ladybugs for free. I was like, okay, I'll put these out. But then I was like, well, I don't want to kill the ladybugs. And so I stopped with the Prime Superior. So then obviously the ladybugs were not going to actually take care of the mites when they started coming. They'll chew a little bit from the outsides and stuff, but they don't actually take out the problem. And so we tried it. I got more. And then I went to I went to mite, what do you call them? Predatory mites.
Yep.
But this was during the winter time, and it was like it took an extra week to get them longer than what it should have. It was the coldest part of the winter, so I basically assumed a lot of them were dead. So that didn't do the trick, and I ended up going back to the Prime Superior. It's not Prime Superior, but like heavier sprays, like once, twice a day, nonstop for like a week. I ended up getting bud out of the out of the grow. I just actually finished smoking the rest of it, so it did work, but it was like this long, like 4 or 5 week experiment happening. But there was no sugar. The other issue with ladybugs, they'll kill themselves by getting onto fly traps or
Yeah.
anything that's like a liquids that I had out for like gnats or whatever, like killing traps. They'll kill themselves in there, or jump into places they shouldn't be. So that's the other problem. I think praying mantis probably are a little smarter, but maybe I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, that sounds good. I want to try that for sure.
I got to send you this. I'll send you this later.
Sure.
I'll explain it
What's
later,
up,
but
everybody?
it'll have every answer that you want. It'll
Good.
answer everything that you want for any question through AI, not Chat GPT. It's a whole thing that we have. But yeah, that's it's so having beta gardens was so much fun. We tried different products, and I to get all these products from different manufacturers, and the manufacturers, they'd say all these bullshit claims. Your yields would be 30% bigger, and they claim all this stuff, and we put a lot of this through it. Where I always first ask the manufacturer, "Are you sure you want me to throw this in the beta garden?" And you'd be surprised how many people that know me would say, "Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. We should do our own research first." I go, "Because your claims are gonna, I'm gonna,
Hello, you're basically saying, are you sure you don't want to do your own research first?
Yeah, you want to do your own. You sure you don't want to do your research? You just want to put 30% increase on yields on your packaging.
Just say it. Well, it's funny how they get away with it because it's a little bit more costly to take someone to the court, and that's a whole nother on the backside. I guess the bigger companies, they look at it a cost benefit analysis, I guess maybe is the right term, where they are trying to find out whether or not this lawsuit for whatever ingredient or whatever, like people getting sick or whatever the situation is with your product, they look at how much they might lose versus how much they make by continuing to package it the way they say, and that's crazy with the whole certified organic. That's another ball of wax there. The label, you pay for it, you basically get in the club, and then you are allowed to say that even if you have, say, I don't know what the feet range is, but I think it's like 30 feet or maybe more that your crop has to be away from a non-organic crop. And what do you think happens when like that crop's getting sprayed? Like that's just one of the examples. But so a lot of people are getting around that by labeling it, 100% natural, or no, none of this, none of this, none of this. Like they just put it on the label, and that's been one way that people get around it. So what do you think with the cannabis? Like that's still the Wild West because of the people can say whatever on the THC levels. Like here it's 300%, or like just they can do whatever, and you have no idea.
Going back to certifications and labels, it's an absolute pay to play joke. CDFA sucks. Omri is 60% organic at best. All these programs run under the agricultural testing limits of parts per million, like 15 parts per million. Cannabis should be running under, and these, if you're like arsenic or mercury or lead or cadmium, those are really I call them the four horsemen on heavy metals that you really have to test and watch out for, the most important ones. And in cannabis, they measure it in the flower, and on the flower, it's 0.2 parts per million, 0.2 in the flower, right? And so everything mixed in the soil or whatever is going on in agriculture on the soil side of this thing, at CDFA, they never certify products that are like 1 part per million. They always certify it at 5 parts or 3 parts per million. So these programs aren't made for cannabis regulations. They don't fit. So you have to go from beyond organic methods. The other thing with the CDFA and the organic labeling in food and cannabis and regenerative farming is that you can't, a real regenerative farmer that talks about biological assessment and fungal assessment and the bacteria ratios combined, you want a really well balanced for healthy colonies of living soil. But you can't talk about any of this with these certification programs, or they throw you out of the program, or they fine you, or they don't certify you and register you. And I've had to deal with that. So even on outside of cannabis and just food. A food farmer, organic labeling has to do an enormous amount of paperwork and bullshit stuff in order to get his product on the shelf under organic label. But the regenerative, really biological farmers that are producing the best nutrient dense foods are out of the program because they are too good. They talk too good. They want
What do
to
you
talk
think
about
that is that the whole situation where, hey, you're standing out from the rest of us because we're too good, or is it a money thing because
it's all pay to
the
play
back
with
end?
money. It's all money,
Exactly. They're paying to get around some of these regulations and such, and it's nonstop.
It's
And I
easier
think,
for a 100-acre food farm to get certified organic and be under that by volume than it is for a 2-acre food farm to do it, right? On the pay to play. So the system is made for the big monocrops. The system's not made for the real farmers that live and put their feet and their hands in the soil every day and care about the nutrient dense food that they're putting on tables.
yeah, just big machines. Like I did the detasseling as a kid for like 3 or 4 years. It was crazy. I was running a crew of people. I was 14, and like, making sure they picked all the tassels and everything, and it just felt so, I don't know. There wasn't it didn't feel natural even then as a kid. It's like, this doesn't seem right. There's a field of random. I've actually brought it up before where, and I don't want to piss a lot of people off with this, but you guys, like, there are statistics that show more wildlife, more animals get killed or get removed from an area to make room for farming than are hunted by people who are carnivorous. Now you could look at the massive farms of cows where they're injecting them with like our what do you call it, livestock farms have their own problems too. But I guess I'm comparing it to the hunters that are more in tune with the culling of this population right now, or this deer are overrun right now, so they're on the menu, and or fishing and stuff like that. And there are people that take advantage, but for the most part, I think a lot of hunters are much more in tune with how that works. Like, you can't over hunt a certain population, or you'll lose the thing that you want to hunt. I don't know. Maybe I'm overshooting by saying most of them.
No, you're really not. You're not overshooting any of that. These are really important subjects to talk about, and it goes farther with you have a lot of vegetarians and vegans that are hating on animal production. I'm for regenerative animal production done in the right way. You see
Right.
it scaled up. There's a subject that we talk about for virgins, for vegans. And those plant eaters out there. I mean, the amount of genocide in soil just to produce the plant is fucking insane.
Yeah.
In my King Kashi compost, in a healthy soil, healthy biological assessed soil, in a handful, you have trillions of forms of bacteria. Now you're eating synthetic farm land, and there's none of that. It's wiped out of colonies of bacteria are dead, and the plants are alive also. So now you have these really fake plants that you're going to. So there is a massive amount of damage when the volume of non-meat eaters turn to vegan meat eaters and things that are super important to discuss. It goes back to really understanding the volumes of regenerative agriculture that need to be converted from synthetic in the way we're destroying our rivers and our streams with herbicides, runoffs, and pesticides and glyphosates. These guys are spraying glyphosates on top of your corn, wheat, and grass and grains in order for them to harvest quicker. They're actually spraying glyphosate on top of all these products, and those products will come in harvest, and you're supporting that by eating it, but you're going to go after somebody that's growing a cow to put on a plate. So on both sides is messed up.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking, vegans or vegetarians either, or I'm knocking both sides.
Yeah, it's all about
meat growers are fucked up. Our egg producers are fucked up. Nobody's following really tradition and how it should work. our farmlands are growing fucked up plants for, people that don't want to eat it. Nobody's talking about the realism on both sides. Regenerative lifestyle is something that's out there. We are killing ourselves in the process and blaming one another for the conditions, right? It's just no fucking good, man. If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Well, yeah, and I think if you can't be real about whatever the position is that you're taking, and actually poke holes in what you're, and not to get into politics, but like a similar thing where with your food choices, if you choose to be more carnivorous or choose to be a vegan, whatever you choose, get familiar with the downsides of it. Get familiar with what people say on the flip side of it, or you know what I mean? Because you might be, to your point, thinking that you're doing something good, eating this vitamin or that, whatever, and really just poisoning. And I think, I'll be honest, like there's still some foods that I don't know. I'm still eating stuff from the grocery store. I don't have the whole thing switched over yet where I know every ingredient that I'm eating. But I have been working on it. And I think of step by step,
it's all step by step. Nobody's perfect.
Exactly.
As long as you're conscious and you're moving that direction. I probably eat, I direct from farms 30% of my diet, my family's diet, and my dogs too. So what I do is I get farm boxes direct from the farm every week. I have raw goat milk, and that's what I use for my milk. I love the enzymes and bacteria, and I'm feeding my microbiome. I don't get processed milk. I don't drink processed crap like that. But 30% of my diet, Oh, it tastes absolutely. It tastes like real milk. It's so good. It's crazy good. And
I just feel like I wouldn't like goat's milk, but never had it.
Well, I mean, it also goat's milk. A lot of times it has a wild taste to it, but it's what it's fed. See, everything goes into what it's fed. They're great for poison oak. They love poison oak. People let them go, and for poison oak and things like that. And of course, they're going to have a poison oak flavor or whatever they've been eating. But our goat milks that I get, it tastes like raw cow milk, but it's goat milk. Yeah. And so my diet consists of, supporting the farmer, not 100% of it, but I do the best I possibly can. And then I buy 2 farm boxes full of vegetables, eggs, mushrooms, everything in it. And I get some meat direct from the farm. And at the end of the week, Saturday, I get farm boxes. I go get my new farm boxes and I clean out all the leftover from the week before out of my fridge. And I put it in an Instant Pot. And I make my dog's dog food out of all of it. Now they got nutrient dense dog food toppers every week. Nothing goes into waste in my house like that. So, the whole thing.
Compost, right?
What's that?
I mean, being a soil person, you're the king. Do you compost? And
I do on huge scales, but not for that at home.
Not for your kitchen.
At home, I cook everything down and make food out of it. I turn it in there. In Bakersfield, California, I produce massive amounts of really super clean compost and do that. And I do what's called, I think it's the world's best compost, living compost there ever was. It's King Kashi compost. If you know anything about, have you ever heard of EM1? Anybody out there in the comments know anything about fermenting or EM1 and doing things like that?
I know I want to get into fermenting, but you tell.
I take EM1. EM1 is astortions. I think it's an astortion of 9 different bacterias, and then I get huge totes of that, and I end up. It's crazy. I end up cooking down 30,000 gallons of fermented EM1, and I put that on 1,100 yards of compost and turn it in, and that's how I kick off my King Kashi compost, which is absolutely most incredible compost. And we can go into a long conversation on that. It'd take a long time, but it's the most intelligent microorganisms there are, and they outperform any bad pathogens. I mean, my King Kashi compost, which is unheard of in any soil testing for any compost, I test 0.00 parts E. coli, and compost has E. coli in it. And you can't get away with it. I've never tested compost in my life that didn't have, and the acceptable limits with agriculture is 18 parts per million. E. coli is acceptable for growing food, and I'm the only one that gets 0.00 parts E.
Okay, well, let me
coli.
break that down. So you get 0 parts, but that means that you have bacteria that's in there that's doing its job. Is that going to eat its food too quickly then?
Not at all. I mean, all bacteria only eats what it needs to fill the void, and then it dies off on depending on the
So it's
size.
not just because it's eating
Soil, they're never going to run out of food. Yeah, they're not going to.
What is it? What is it that's taking away the E. coli? It's just something that kills that
Well,
bacteria.
E. coli is a bacteria as well.
Right.
No, E. coli
Right.
is a bad pathogen. So you have good colonies and you have bad colonies, and they fight under there. And so that's why I say when you get that really intelligent microorganism structure going on it, it's the army that attacks the bad army, the bad pathogens. So what it's actually done is it's eaten every bit of E. coli that was left over in that soil, wiped out the entire army of E. coli that's acceptable with the intelligent microorganisms that I fermented and added into it. It's insane.
Yeah, you basically made some super soldiers, right? And you put them onto the battlefield, and now those super soldiers have taken over fully and eradicated the enemy. Okay.
And it's actually probiotic. That's what all it is. It's a probiotic bacteria is on steroids, right? It's the same probiotics that you would buy or the hospital or the CVS would get you, but it's not again in a synthetic or it's not in a synthetic or a solvent base. If you go to get a bottle of probiotics, that probiotics there's claims on it that says there's this much probiotics in it, right? 2% probiotics. The rest of it's fillers and shit that you don't want in your body. Your body doesn't want to consume the rest of that pill. But if we tested those, there would be over 25% or up to 25% of the claims, the bottles that we tested wouldn't even have any probiotics in it.
Wow.
And so
the gummies you can get, and they have preservatives.
They don't have shit in
forever.
it. Yeah. They don't have shit in there. And the probiotics that you get have gone through entire solvent extraction, ripped down, stripped down, rebuilt back, right? So we do what's called, you see Bokashi, King Kashi, Grow Kashi. We do our own Kashis with the same EM1 when we make the Kashi. So, and that Bokashi is probiotic. That's what it is. It's the cleanest form of probiotic that your body can take. I every day I take a pinch of my King Kashi that we make, and it's Bokashi, and I put it in my lip. I give it to my dogs. It's the rarest form, and those it's the same thing with me. Now I have colony of healthy bacteria that is fighting the E. coli in my gut or any bad pathogen in my gut and killing it. My biosystem is so fucking
like Star Wars in his body.
It really is, man. It's like telling you, it's crazy.
Real quick, William, we were talking earlier. It's oh poop. I'm gonna forget the name of the website.
It's thesoilking.com with a THE.
Okay.
Thesoilking.com.
Great. Cindy wants to know if you're gonna tell us right now. Tell us the truth. What's the recall in food right now? I mean, some of it is
recall in food. Yeah, most of it is E. coli right now. Who's the big callback right now from? You see McDonald's all over. Oh, you see right going on right now is E. coli. That's a big callback. There's so many callbacks, right? There's so many things that aren't tested for that are FDA approved. It's so stupid, man. Like our government labeling is killing us, not helping us. They have us held hostage and handcuffed right now. So much bullshit supporting big corporate.
I get it on a basic level. Like I think of it philosophically, and I think of it like it doesn't have to be looked at as a nefarious thing. It's sort of just what happens when one party, not a political party, but one group of people gives their money to another group of people, say the managerial staff, and then that group of people is supposed to then choose what to spend that other groups of people's money on.
So crazy, bro.
Like that alone makes it separates the what do you call it, the consequences from mishandling that like if you give me your money and I'm supposed to spend it for you in whichever way that I think is best for you, like that's gonna right away make a disconnection where I don't even know I don't know. I think he's all right. I think I sent him some ramen noodles last week. I think he's been good for a couple of days, right? Like that's basically what we're doing. We give our money, and then they like they're supposed to do what we.
We have really unhealthy people doing health regulations. They're in charge of the what's good and what's bad on for FDA and different things. You have these unhealthy people making the world's healthy choices in products. But they, I want a healthy person doing healthy choices that I can learn from.
I want to look at them and be like, dear God, I want to do whatever this guy's doing. Like that dude that you see on the paid ads on Facebook nonstop, where he says, I can still eat carbs. He looks crazy, like ripped. Yeah. He's like, watch this. And he'd take a bite of like a piece of pizza or a donut. And he's been on a bunch of podcasts. Dr. Drew now is like sucked into it. Dr. Drew's like simping for him now and stuff. The guy who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It says, it's not cardio. You don't need to do cardio. Like, you don't need to cut carbs. Like, well, okay, so I'm gonna just live on the pizza and donut diet.
So here's something interesting, and I always say fuck the middleman. What's up, Mitch? I always say fuck the middleman in agriculture, and this is one of the reasons why. And I like to just I'm a visual guy, so don't mind me. I'll try to make it really easy that way. A farmer that's producing, let's say, 25 acres of melons. Okay. And he's an organic farmer and he's producing 25. He's trying to get on all the Sprouts and the health food stores out there and really trying to do good things. So you got a farmer that has all these acres. Now, this year's harvest is over. He's getting planting, getting ready for 2025 season. And the broker who's buying it from him, who has the connection and selling it to all the stores, is telling him, we can't, the farmer's getting like 25 cents a pound to grow a melon, right? So he's trying to grow the biggest melon to get the most weight he possibly can. The broker is taking that melon and he's selling it to the stores at a wholesale rate for about $1.50 a pound or whatever. We'll say I don't know the exact numbers, right. But he's 5Xing what he's giving the farmer. So he's making all the money. The farmer takes all the risk. And the stores are making, they're making the money, but they have the loss of having to throw away products that are getting old too. So that's part of the store. And now that farmer is being told, 2025 season, we're going to give you 19 cents. So now that per pound. Now that farmer is isn't even making it on 25%. How is he going to come up with 4-6%? Per pound? He's going to have to put less water. He's going to have to put less products. He's going to have less labor. The product is going to be less quality underneath that organic labeling. And so this process of the brokers across the country that are making all the money and the farmers are going out of business, it's absolutely insane. That is really what's going on. And this is another statistic that's going to blow everybody's mind right here. And you could check the data on this, but I just did again. We talk about our veterans and the rate of suicide is absolutely crazy and nonsense. It's sickening and sad. But if you Google the rate of farmers committing suicide, it's as great and a little greater now than fucking veterans, and nobody talks about that.
Like our people farmers, who are from generations of like owning a farm and they just can't keep it going because everything around them is engulfing them.
Farms all across the country, there's a big, and it goes because of this right now, and it has everything to do with government certification programs. Again, a farmer can't is not, they're just not making it on being able to sell it now. Let's talk about a farmer that has full cattle going to the butcher. Right now, the farmers are waiting 7 months to 16 months to get that beef into where they're going to harvest it. They're going to cut it up into steaks and do all that. Right. The backlog is so good. The smaller farmers have to wait really long to get it in there because the major corporate ones that suck all the dick and pay all the money and do all the stuff, right, they've got front line because they're bigger and the little producers are making them. So now these farmers are having to freeze their meat forever, for a year, and before it ever even gets in there. So these farmers are now getting really pushed back. And the next thing that's just happened in the last few years, if anybody's been really watching farming, on animals is we have 30% of our organic USDA beef that you see in retail at Costco's and everywhere else. 30% of it is United States beef. 70% is imported and certified once it gets here. It imports it from other countries that have no certification programs. You don't know the health of it. Nothing's been tested. It's been shipped from other countries. The quality's not as good. But since it's cut up into steaks inside these few major facilities, because it's done in United States, it's going under the certification stamp of USDA quality beef.
Yeah, so, and when they just look at it when it comes in, they can look. Oh, okay, looks good. And
you can't sell it here organic, but then once it goes through that process, they can. So again, these brokers are, the brokers are the meat producer companies because they have a monopoly on it. They're killing our farmers and putting our farmers out of business on such a rapid pace right now. It's insane how our farmers, and so that's why the rate of suicide for the last few years of farmers have now kept up with veterans, which is something we don't talk about, but we need to, and we need to talk about veterans as well.
You want to let me tell you my my idea, my plan. Try anyway. It was not the original plan, and I'm not gonna. I don't want to bore you with the whole thing. I have a lot of ideas. Okay, I'm an ideas guy, but this idea came to me. I wanted to build a farm, this whole indoor farm. It's called Maccabees Live Market. That's the business that I have. And I kind of started to think, well, what happens if I gave food away at a pay what you can price? And you make it an attraction, you make it an entertaining thing. Maccabees Live Market, there's going to be live music. There'll be screens around playing different podcasts from different people that talk about health and growing and food and all this stuff, right? I'll have it all connected. And I have all these ideas, but mainly it would be a place where I could have a section that's on camera, right? Have signs and things like that. Think of like the Pawn King or whatever, Pawn Stars or whatever. Yeah. You have the section where it's like you come in and you have people talk about their issues, like farmers even would pop through, and it would be like a farmer's market, but with this whole live aspect. And that's going to be the plan. But my idea, I was like, well, what if it got big enough where these guys out here, most of the audience are subscribed to my community. Shouts out to the indoorfarmer.locals.com and some sponsors even in the audience right now. Shouts out Lord Leaf Cycle.
Yeah, shout out to sponsors.
So that became a thing where what if this whole thing online, this entertainment, the knowledge and the making this, my whole thing is it's like a late night adult entertainment with the educational bend, right? But if that becomes a monetary thing, I could be literally giving food away. Now I know there's legalities to that. I can say pay what you can, so pay me a penny, for
donation,
whatever donation, yeah. And so I could do that on a large scale one day. And imagine a farmer, it's like, no, I don't need your subsidies. Like, no, we grow and it takes care of itself.
I think that's great.
I'm sure there's an angle they would try to stop it at some point, but
I mean, it's important. The topic, what you're saying, is super important, just for the nutrient density of the food. So you cut a tomato off the vine, right? That tomato off the vine starts losing its nutrients immediately upon harvest. Right. It takes a little while, but now if you pick that tomato early, you sell it to a fucking broker. That broker takes a few weeks to get it to a store. That it's right by the ripening by the time it gets to the store. Now we're 4 or 5 weeks out. The nutrients in that is so depleted, even in the organic section, versus direct to farmer to consumer. And what you're offering there is think about that part of it too. It's you support your farmers, buy the food directly from the farm, question the farm of what there are, find your farmer, and that's how you get healthy. That's where the healthy products are coming from.
Right.
Pay that farmer's going to need $5 a pound or what, $2 a pound or $2.50 for that melon that you're going to end up paying $11 for, whatever it comes out to, hypothetical numbers.
But you can think of it as real.
Farmer is now going to survive by you supporting him He's
So you're
going to
paying for
survive
real
it.
products too, not just well, this you can't compare them. There's the
You can't
plastic one at
compare
the
it.
store, and then there's this one. Like I want to buy a real one today, so I'm going to spend the.
And now you've given your farmer money to put back into his farm for healthier product because there's no middleman broker and making all the money.
So that's something that I wanted to bring up earlier was the difference between the fresh farm to table, because that term is being, every term gets bastardized, kind of like the chickens with the free range.
Yeah.
Everything gets changed and twisted and stuff. But that's one of the plans, is to have it an indoor farm, but not just that, but also a farmer's market that's all year long. So say, the Soil King grows tomatoes during these 3 months of the year outside, and they're great and everyone loves them. I'll have that spot open for you or whatever, have a list of people, and they can, rotate through.
Totally.
And then I wouldn't grow. I'll leave those alone for that time, because I don't need, I'll concentrate on stuff that people aren't growing at that time.
Yeah.
And I can always be kind of making up the difference, and it'll be a symbiotic thing. I want to make it a farmer's market where that no one pays for a booth. It's just part of it's a sign up, and you have to be in the list. And but anyway, that kind of goes crazy, because
not really. You're on to something good, but you need to make it privatized, right? As soon as you use different names, then the insurance companies and permits are involved, and regulations start coming down. So if you keep it, like you said, a donation, from farmers for farmers, and you're not selling retail, and there's things you can get around to do that, and that's how you not charge fees for booths. The problem with it, when you start getting fines, or you start having to pay all these fees and insurance and permits, you're going to have to charge some stuff. Otherwise, you're going to be out of pocket with all of it. So your thought is great. You keep it privatized. Keep it a private party. That private party thing, not to an invite only. People can still come into it no matter what, but if you market it as, invite only, or sign up for the invitation list, or when you come in, we have a sheet, you got to sign it and you're invited, an invitation at the door kind of thing. But you can get away with a lot of that.
That's a good call, because it will be like my live studio too for the show, and make it a thing like, oh, well, you're my guest. You're my guest in the show. This is a gift for being my guest or whatever. There's a lot of ways to work it for sure. So guys, I'm going to be doing a number wheel spin pretty soon. And remember, we're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. If we could get up to, I challenged us to get up to a certain number. I don't think we're going to get there. We are over about 50 people in the house amongst all the different the destinations. But I'm going to do a spin for my supporters, the number wheel that I do every 3 times a week. You're welcome to hang out as long as you want. I don't want to keep you for too long either. But we're into a lot of different topics, and I think the time I have you on, I'd like to sort of zero in on something, because I've just started getting into the soil biology in order to have a worm bed, and that kind of brought me into the idea of the arthropods and the worms working together. But I'm not down to the bacteria level yet, so I'm trying to figure that. Like, do you ever work with nematodes?
All the time. Nematodes are super important, and a healthy, balanced soil. And I'll help you dial in on all this stuff. So the idea on analytics with biological and fungals, you want to see things like nematodes. You want to see biology counts and fungal accounts matching themselves. If they're matching themselves, they work together in unity. If you have too much fungal, it'll over-dominate the bacteria. Too much bacteria over-dominates the fungal, and the system gets off. The living health part of it gets off. So it's kind of important. But once you get it to that state, it really works on its own, stabilizing it from that point out. I don't know.
The other thing that's I'm wrapping my mind around is the minerals. Minerals right now are a problem in my aquaponics system.
Yeah.
And it's a problem in all of ours. It's a problem in my body. Like, most of us are deficient in a lot of minerals. And so I'm really trying to figure out
nutrient dense food, you're growing and eating your own food. There's so much mineral in food, but all that starts depleting at harvest. It's so important to support your farmer for that exact reason. And it's crazy. And if you're a meat eater, there's more mineral in steak of a fat than anything. There's so much wealth of nutrients in the gristly, fatty side of meats. Everybody says don't eat the fat, right?
Yeah, I'm getting into like bone broth and some other things too, and really, yeah. I'm on X. I don't know. Are you ever mess around with Twitter? Or it's called X,
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check me out. Find me there, man, because there's a lot of really big, high-profile spaces, they call them, where there's up to 13 people, but it's all audio, and then there's hundreds of people listening, where you can see them like reacting on the screen. They're not commenting like they do here. There's a comment area, but anyway, I digress. It's a different feel.
Click to spin. How do you do this thing? Oh, I don't know what I just did.
This is me.
Oh.
I'm putting up a number wheel for my subscribers. Excuse me. I for some reason had to reset the wheel, so I'm filling it back out right now. Yeah, I do a wheel spin 3 times a week, and I try to do it around the hour mark because a lot of people have been waiting for the whole show, and some people actually, if you're on this wheel, you get hash and dash immunity anyway. So shouts out if you're out there, been watching the whole show, hit that hashtag Soil King, hashtag WTIF. Let's see who's awake out there. Okay, I do have to go to my phone to check to see if there's anybody that added themselves on the list. So what's I guess let's get a little promotional area here. Like, what's the next thing that you got going on? Another like an event?
I got some cool projects. I'm in negotiations. If anybody knows, I've been working with A&E on a production for 4 years now called Soil King Farm Rescue. It's been hard to get that show, but right now it's back in negotiations with A&E and actually Discovery. So we're back on the table. I own all the content for the first few episodes in a docu-series that we recorded, but there's new shows coming out on that. But even more exciting right now is I'm working on it. I love giving back, and I'm a convict. Like I said, I've done time behind. I've done time in San Quentin, and I'm rehabilitated, and I'm built by my story. I have no regrets for anything in my life. But right now in Florence Prison in Arizona, I'm meeting with warden and I think it's whatever the guy that's under the warden, sergeant, or no, I think it's because he got a different title. But they reached out to me, the prisoners, lifers and prisoners, and they've been doing a garden project and trying to do their own vegetable gardens and fruit trees and stuff out there they started. So now I'm going in and back into the prisons to build gardens, like big gardens, and get the prisons to start feeding themselves and give the inmates something to do. And again, you hear me say no segregation in agriculture. The space and the farms in there will be no segregation in the garden. Right?
So what does that feel like going back in?
It's awesome. Like I do different things. I've taken NA meetings and AA meetings into prisons and jails in my life. I've done a lot of that, and I've been on the other side where I was doing meetings and being incarcerated as well. And it's really awesome to be able to give back to those, and build. So the idea is to take this one model and take it to prisons all over the country, and then build an industry out of it. So they actually learn how to farm with regenerative practices, and when they get out, we'll have a job placement program to farms nearby and those farms nearby will get grant money to support this thing, and the whole thing will work in circles. So it's more than just the farming; it's all educations, and it's giving back to the prisoners. And the guys that I'm working with behind the prison talking to now, these guys are lifers. They're never going to see outside. So now they have something inside to do it, right? They're going to make industry. They're going to have money on their books. They're going to be creating things. So I really see this taking off to something huge. And that's what I'm most excited about right now. Yep.
That's awesome. I guess that's crazy on a bunch of levels. We should have went into that, but I'm definitely going to be looking out for that. It sounds crazy.
Yeah, I have meetings this week, and so I got to go out there next week to the prison
So
and really put the details together with the prison itself.
You're all the West Coast, aren't you?
I'm in Arizona right now.
Okay, so you're in the heat now.
I moved a few years ago out of Northern California.
So Missy, I love your comment here. You say you need to know where to send the subscription. So you can, if you really want to, subscribe to Facebook, either my profile or my page. But I prefer going over to locals.com, locals.com. It is a subscription platform, not a dating site, but it is like the best. Like they the best for freedom of speech, and they let creators do whatever they need to, other than sexual, because it is not OnlyFans. Okay, but what it does is allows me to get away from Facebook, away from the haters and the scammers and the spammers and all that. And all you have to pay is $2. You subscribed, okay? Where at?
Subscribed. There you go.
Where at? Because I want to get you a number on this wheel right now. You're going to be number 25.
I got my girl Amy. She's watching this. She's out there somewhere. I've seen her comments a few times, and yeah,
awesome. I tried to catch every comment.
Say hi to Amy. Amy, if you're out there, say hi.
Let's see. I'm looking for you, Missy. Are you on Locals or on Facebook? On my page, okay? Okay.
See if I can get in there from my page.
We'll be able to. We got almost got 20 people in the house, guys. If we get, I'll change my. I first said 50 people. If we get to 50 people, if we could get to 30 people, I'll give an extra swag pack away to the audience. Missy, yeah, just make sure you go to the group that you are given when you join. When you subscribe, you're automatically put into a group for my subscribers. It's called Waylon the Indoor Farmer Subscribers, and there's a post in that group that says it's got today's date, or not today's date. It's got the week block. It says 10/22/24 to 10/25/24. It says, I appreciate all of your support. Thank you. Let's get some give backs for this week. So if you can find that, I'll wait a few minutes here. Actually, I'll take this off the screen momentarily. But yeah, somebody just signed up. I'm definitely going to give you a minute to get in there.
I signed up. It looks like I can comment on my YouTube, and now I just commented on the Facebook, but I didn't see my YouTube throw any comments up. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Make sure you have to be signed in, but you probably did. Let's see.
I just did it on Facebook though. If I'm following right, you have to see if it comes up. I don't see myself coming up.
What I'm talking about is a post that I make in my subscription group, so you have to pay to get into that one.
Yeah.
You got to pay to play. But hey, you know what? I don't know if you do any. We should talk about that offline, but I'll just give you the quick and dirty about how it works with game night. The best. I mean, there's a lot of sponsors who give me items or send out stuff directly to people for me, and I love you guys. I appreciate you. But the way I've been pushing things is that if you're somebody with a website, you give a gift code or a website credit or whatever it is on the during the game, and then there's a bunch of folks like Leaf Cycles was in the house, and he does that every week, and it gets people to the website. It gets people to maybe look at things that are more than the gift code. Like there's a lot to it, but on top of that is advertising too, and so definitely always looking to find people with websites that we can promote. Okay, Missy, I'm going there now. I'm just killing time here. William, okay.
Well, there I came up. I came up now, it looks like. Yeah, let me try that again.
I see you now. So, Missy, you're going to be 25, and William, you're going to be 26. I see you. Cool, yeah, there's going to be one more spin tomorrow night as well, so get in there for that if you haven't yet already. Okay, we'll do the spin real quick so that we know who wins tonight. Last night was Tommy McKetta. Shout out to Tommy. Yeah, we got the Soil King in the comment. Waylon says nobody rides for free, sucker. Well, look, Brad, I mean, this day and age, you guys see it. A lot of you all out there see it in a lot of groups with a lot of free giveaways and things. Those giveaways they have a toll over time. You know, you got to be careful on how you do things, and that $2 pays for more than giveaways. It pays for the Hash and Dash community, meaning everyone on this wheel doesn't have to be here. No one has to be here to win. That's part of the cost. The other thing is that it pays for the privacy of having like a little private place away from Facebook where Facebook can't mess with my money there. They can't, like, I have subscriptions on Facebook. They could take them away in a heartbeat if I say or do something, or even a glitch or a fluke. You know what I mean? Like I had to do something that was going to keep me. Plus, I'm not on just Facebook. So like every website out there, all these different platforms, they have hoops that you got to jump through to get subscriptions on their platform. And I'll do them over time, but I don't have to. I got locals. It's boom. It's my anonymity. It's my place to do my thing, right? Anyway, I think I got to add 24. No, I got 24. We need 25 and 26. But we might still do another giveaway to the audience if we can get some folks. We got 20 people in on the Facebook side. Hit that like button and share it out, because that's what's going to put you on the wheel, hitting the like button. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing lately. I go to the likes. It's just the simplest metric that I can copy and paste. All right, good luck, guys, if you're in here. A lot of people that subscribe do watch the show because they find it interesting or entertaining. Oh, I didn't reset the
Right.
number. That's okay. 10-second spin. I'm not happy with it. Number 6. Find out who that was. Okay. Yeah, I definitely like the longer spin than that, but it is what it is. Let's see, John Rando was number 4. Cage's Warrior was 5. Tabby Dabby Doo, it looks like. Tabbit Dabba Doo, number 6. Congratulations, Tab. Where's mine? So, what do you think about tech in farming? Like, there's the actual robots, not the ones with arms and legs, but they have like little ones on wheels where you can automate your garden being like weeded, and like there's all these different tools. Some of them look like they could be promising, like a thing that will come through and take weeds out for you. Like that's.
AI is we have to embrace AI, and that is, man. 1 second, I'm just.
Yeah, no problem at all. We're chilling.
Okay, so I didn't embrace AI. I was against it. Now I've learned it as a tech. So as a consultant, when I'm consulting, no matter what type of farming, there's no segregation in agriculture. There's tools out there now that if you are one of my consultants in Tennessee on a peanut farm, you could take pictures of everything around, and you could walk around, you could take pictures. We can get a satellite flying over it, and it can do me a complete daily report of everything. You ask your questions, they hand out. AI will give me a daily report. So for me, it's checks and balances that works for that. And even more so now on the AI side is we're being able to fly drones over fields and take pictures and identify if there's any problems, any viroids. Viroids are horrible. What the percentage of viroid is in a section of plants that's being grown. If there's any harmful pests that are out there, it'll identify those. If the water deficiency in a section isn't, it'll identify the amount of water you should put on in this few acres right here that looks, it identifies. So as we're moving into a more, again, the regenerative state, it's going to have to adapt with the tech side of agriculture that's coming down the line, and I'll put something in the chat right now. I'll let all you guys play with this. This is going to blow you away. This is I have tools that I developed with AI. This is one called the Probiotic Farmer. I took, and it's not just Chat GPT. I took 13 years with my partners, Alan Atkinson and Tim McCormick. 13 years of data, white papers, research, incredible amount of information, and we've I have an AI developer that works for NASA. He's out here in Scottsdale with me, and we've been developing tools. One's called the Can Attender. It's a bud tender educational tool. It goes way beyond that, but this one, the Probiotic Farmer, is all about conscious cultivation with probiotics, organics, and this one is AI. So we took 13 years worth of curriculum, entered it in this an AI project, and now the AI is taking our information and now is excelling off of 13 years of research. And the research came from 30,000 members that we have around the world when we were just started talking about Korean natural farming and things like this with other research. So it's super crazy important. I'm going to put this tool in for everybody to fuck with, and you can just ask it questions and it'll mind blow. You got mic questions, you got whatever. It'll give you a healthy response to everything you're doing. I haven't given this out to everybody. We're raising this capital on it right now. It's going to be a huge project that's coming down the line, but you guys are super lucky right now. Any question you have in farming, you're going to ask this and it's going to spit it out to you. And it's trained not to do any fallacies or create any lies, to factualize everything before you see it. And I'm going to put I'm going to copy and put it in the comment right now.
Let me tell you about something that I actually I'm an affiliate for them. They also have an AI that is specific to gardening, and I feel like getting you two together could be maybe a future idea. The company is called Garden Savvy, gardensavvy.com, but they have a garden horticulture like app. They have a whole like inner like community inside there, a message board and stuff. But they have an AI that you can I don't know like anything about it per se compared to what you just mentioned, but it could be an interesting combination of data.
Did you guys see both of them come over? Yeah, I would love to talk.
I see one. I see one with the.
Okay, so you see the one that says the gamma on the one. You copy that one. In the password, you can put that on the screen. Are you able to put that on the screen?
It's on the screen.
Yeah, let's do that. And then there's a password I put underneath. This is going to be mind blowing. I'm glad you guys are all here. Thank you. This is going to be cool, and it's a cool tool. And the reason why we put all this money and built this research is so people have, they can grow responsibly with, and medicinally, and really get it out of the park.
What's Project Bluebeam, Joe?
You've heard of that yet?
So there was something else I was going to say, but that's okay. I lost it. But it's been a great show, man. You could give me a lot to think about. I'm already like over here mind blown. So I'm going to think of things, and maybe I'll poke you here and there if I have any questions. But I try not to bug people. I know you're pretty busy.
Yeah, no.
I was going to say next time you're in Illinois, for sure, definitely would like to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Illinois was awesome, man. I just got back from Texas. It was awesome too, actually. It was great.
Screenshot. Well, those comments should stay, guys. They should stay in after the live stream. So if you're watching the replay now, you should still be able to find it in the comments.
Yeah, you can see the first Soil King, and then as you open the deck, you'll look at that, and there you can go down there a little bit farther, and you'll see a number and a thumb. It's called, and you can put that in as a password. Were you able to pull that up at all?
I didn't. You can't click it from the comments like that.
Oh, you can't. You have to copy paste it.
I don't have a Facebook open. I'm on StreamYard, so it's
you want me to send it on a text?
No, I'm on my phone here. I can probably find it that way. Let's see. Click it. Yep, it sent me there. Went to Probiotic Farmer AI. Yeah. Awesome.
It's amazing. It's an amazing tool for everybody. Before long, it'll be a subscription base, and it'll go into that. But it'll teach you how to grow, with probiotics from a tomato in your backyard to 3,000 acres of big ag. So they apply in the tech, and you could just ask it any questions and keep dialing into it. Man, it'll give you all this information. You'll see the research wherever you see like a plus sign come up. It means the research. That was part of the research that was entered into it.
What's up, Smashley and Brad? Yeah, man, that's a hell of an accomplishment, bro. I am proud of you for sure. I do want to ask you,
yeah,
what's your favorite indica or sativa?
I mean, it's a hybrid for me. I mean, I don't really go for the indica or sativa because I'm more of a terpene dominant derived person. And I don't really, it's a distortion of certain terpenes on a flavor wheel is what it's called. Will pull one direction into an energy side, and the different. And it's like making a cake with terpenes, right? It's a different stuff you pull out of the cover and you put on will make it drive into that section, or it'll drive into sativa, or it'll drive into an indica. But for me, I don't really lose the term indica or sativa. I do terpenes because I understand terpenes and wheels and how they work. And so it's kind of a hybrid. If I had to say, this is it. This is one of them right here. This is grown in New Mexico, harvested last week. This is a really great cut of forbidden fruit. Forbidden fruit is actually been one of my favorites for a number of years.
So you're a flower guy?
What's that?
You're a flower guy?
I'm a doobie guy. Yeah, I do. I smoke weed, and then I have really clean, good weed, and then really clean, good rosin in a vape pen. I don't dab. I used to dab. But I like a vape rosin, good rosin vape pen in my pocket and a joint to light.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I just like to hear how other people do it. Do you roll your own, or do you have cones? Use the cones. I have some cones.
This is a cone right here. That Amy, she, my fiance rolled for me out there, but I still use regular zigzags myself.
I used to work at a wholesale distribution place where you had like every type of tobacco you could ever think of, plus all these different rolling trays and all this, or not rolling machines,
Yeah.
I have this here. It's a nice piece from Brian Williams Glass Blowing. He blew this live on my show one night, and then sent it to me. So,
I love that. What is that? What kind of pipe is that called? I love that pipe.
Sherlock.
Yeah, exactly. Sherlock. I mean, my buddy that's in Texas always sends me corncob pipes. I smoke out of them all the time too, just because it's novelty.
Yeah, and then you can just toss them, like especially if you go to an event or something like that.
He gets them from the Amish and sends them out to me, and I love it. It's just everything's about a story in my life. It's always about the story. You look at diamonds. Diamonds, like with Amy, you're putting a diamond on somebody. There's no story to that. You don't know the bad energy. You don't know what that has gone through. You don't know how much greedy people has ever gone to. But to go out and pan for your own, to go out in Arizona here and go gem hunting, bring a gem, clean it up, take it to somebody, rotate it, whatever, make it a gem. And then take it to a silversmith. Yeah, exactly. That's it. There's the story, that's the story. That is more. And I'd rather put something like that on somebody that I love than a fucking diamond that would transfer bad energy. You never know where that thing came from.
Right. Never know.
Super important.
I got this at an event recently from a friend of mine who's they call it the Rock Light. Was at this event recently over the weekend, and it just stood out to me, man. It has like 5 different gems inside here, and it's all wrapped with copper and silver. And I wanted something copper. I didn't have any jewelry that was copper because it's like there's something about the mag. I don't know. We could get into that for sure. What do you have you ever done the copper rods into the soil?
Yeah, it totally works. I've done copper grounding. Really works. The copper really works. There was a good friend. His name's John Easterling. Is known as Amazon John. He's Olivia Newton-John's husband before she passed away. She's a really good friend of mine as well too. And him and he's a gemsmith from around the world. The guy's just through and talk stories. This guy's crazy. Goes up the Amazons to the indigenous people and brings them satellite phones, and it just goes crazy how things happen up there. But we did experiments with gemstones, and so he was in Japan and he was measuring the frequencies in each individual type of stones. He took all these stones, wanted to know what the frequencies were, but the more important was the combination of frequencies. And what we came up with was chrysoprase, opalite, I'm thinking the third one, chrysoprase, opalite, chrysoprase. I'm going to forget the third one. I'll remember it in a second, but those 3 stones went off the scale in energy when they were combined in this $1 billion laboratory in Japan. And so that was the one. So we came back with a beta. I beta test everything. So I have a 100-foot greenhouse. 25, 30 feet wide. I got 2 beds going down each side. We did exact same beds, my genetics, right? It was M80 and M1000 and Mama's cheese down in the beds, and everything was exactly the same except for one bed had all these gemstones in it. The plants grew great. They looked the same. The only thing I can visualize during the growth was I'd see these finger roots that were just going crazy out of the soil where the gemstones were. Huh. So I'm processing that, and the research that came back from that is that the energy, the frequencies disrupted gravity to the roots, and the root masses were bigger in the beds that had the gemstones in it. And
vibration.
So that's insane. So what does that tell you? A lot, right? But then we went to harvest. Weight, the bags were the same. They look great. Everything was grown in really good soil and everything was done great. And yields were great. The quality was great. But the terpenes on the one with the gemstones were fucking almost double the ones that were. Right?
What do you mean by double?
Insane increases on terpene levels.
So you can love. Okay, I guess I never knew how to measure like the level of terpenes in the plant.
Amethyst, opalite, and chrysoprase. That's the 3. Okay. Amethyst, opalite, and chrysoprase.
He probably told me what's in here, but I can't even remember. They're different colors, and there's just
So that copper rod, that energy. I am an energy guy. I have gemstones. You never see me anywhere without stones around me or in me, all around my house, right? And that energy is super, super real. And once you tap into it, it's fucking contagious. It's like
I got to. I have to. I got to put them in the aquaponics system. Like that's the only thing I'm missing.
That's a good thing to do in the aquaponics.
Yes.
That's to be a great tech in the aquaponics.
They need and not just for the properties that you mentioned, but I am constantly like basically out of iron, copper, zinc, magnesium. I can add magnesium. I have like some Epsom salts, but I don't want to do a lot of that for the fish. But yeah, there's different ways to add to remineralize, but I want to do it on such a natural level that it's just a bunch of stones that are in there that are the right types of stones.
I think it has to have oxygen, and you have oxygen. So I think when you kick off the oxygen, I think it disrupts the frequency.
Okay.
But you have oxygen in your aquaponics.
It's oxygenated, yeah. I have
So you should be fine. That would be an awesome beta test to do.
I'd love to try. So cool. That's a good idea. When I do it, I'm gonna do it maybe 2 separate systems and have it side by side. But I remember the question I was gonna ask you earlier. What kind of salt do you use?
I use salt from the sea.
So like
micro, macro nutrients, mineral salt. I got a dish right now in the other room, and I grind it up with a grinder. It's got a grinder in a bowl, and I take it every day a few times, and I put that mineral directly on my tongue, I put it on my dog's tongue. This is everybody's probably thinking I'm a weirdo. No, but it's not, and I do it directly on the tongue because when you cook with it, it loses the effects.
So that's what I want to start doing is like I was going to get pink salt or Himalayan salt. A lot of people made fun of me. I was like, I don't know. I've heard of Himalayan salt, but when I saw pink salt, I took a picture and posted it.
So pink salt is different, but because pink salt went through a whole phase of people were dyeing salt and making it pink because it was.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Exactly. There's it's bad.
I wish I can get in the other room and know where that. I have a whole salt. I get it. I actually bought this last bag at a grocery store up in the mountains, and it's a bag of it's I forget the name of it, but it's all real mineral from deep in the sea.
Deep sea mineral. Yeah, I've heard of gray salt, and I've heard of there's a bunch of different kinds, but.
And it's full of macro and micronutrients. The biology that's in it from down there, it's crazy chemistry that's in there. So that's what I use I eat. It's so crazy. Because any dog food doesn't have any mineral in it. You have to mineral. All your animals need minerals. It's depleted in any dog food. Even the healthy dog food that you buy for them is mineral deficient.
And it kills me to know that now after owning a dog, not basically through the dark years of my life after the war, I had a dog who basically made me get my ass up out of the house. You know, I had to walk him and stuff, and he was good for me. But I didn't know enough about health at the time, and he got heart conditions and stuff like that. Stuff that could have been avoidable if maybe I was giving him a more nutrient-rich diet his whole life.
You didn't know because there was nobody like us out there talking about it then, right? Well, this is where education and social media and these platforms and us having Q&A is always right. Not being mean to each other, because I'm learning too, and things that I did yesterday I don't do today. So we're all learning together, and it's super important. If we were controlled by media that was directive marketing into Monsanto products, all this unhealthy stuff. And forever we were told this is what you need to buy. This is the food pyramid, everything that we've done. But now we have a platform to have this open dialogue of education that we have here today. And we have social media reels that are going on with people like me and you talking about these things. So we're now the education is given to the people instead of driven through the people.
Mm-hmm. Well, not just given, but popularized. That was one of the things I wanted to do by doing this. I don't know nearly what you know, but what I can do is I can make it entertaining as I learn the process, showing my ups and downs, showing my
pioneering, man. It's pioneering. Right? You're doing
exactly.
Right
and so, but then at the same time, I bring guys like you on and people within the health industry and exercise and all these different things. Mushroom farmers, beekeepers. I went out to an apiary, had the suit on, did the whole thing, right? And doing all that brings the people with the knowledge, like yourself and like others, to that platform to make it fun, to make it entertaining. I think of it like the Tonight Show, but with self-sustainable sort of mentality, right? Instead of pushing the politics, what those shows, Jay Leno, the Tonight Show, all these guys, they were funny guys back in the day. But the funny and the glitz and the glamour, the celebrities, the music, all of that stuff was to do one thing. And that was to dress up their politics as they're giving you what they want you to think. And so why can't we do that for subjects that every one of us should worry about, like sustaining our bodies, sustaining our families. Like these are things that I try to talk about, and it's like why is this not a mainstream popular thing? Let's make it. We don't have to do whatever TikTok says is the popular thing right now. You know what I mean?
That's right.
But anyway, get me off my soapbox. I have so many plans. Like my farm idea, it's going to also have a gym attached where human energy pumps water to a water tower, which then becomes a water generation facility. Electrical generation facility on top of a gym that pays you to come and work out. And it measures like how much you're generating or whatever, and it incentivizes people instead of saying, "Hey, fatty, you need to work out." Hey, you want to save some money, you want to help save the planet, you want to, do it while breathing really clean air right above, there's like a Gold's Gym. I don't know if you know Gold's Gym, but they have the upper deck. You can kind of look down over everyone working out. Well, that's where the farm would be. You're on the upper deck running on your whatever treadmill, and you're just checking out, this crazy farm. So anyway, got it all out there.
Here's another thing you're going to learn now that you're starting to go to living soil. When living soil is really balanced and healthy, it produces CO2. I know a lot of growers that are going out, getting rid of complete CO2, turning it way down now in big commercial grows, because the healthier the soil is, it produces oxygen, it produces CO2. And when you're doing it in beds, there's a lot more volume and it's more consistent CO2 because the entire bed is now healthy. If you have pots, you can have a healthy pot, not healthy pot that doesn't balance itself out. That's why beds are so important with regenerative ag. It's what it is. It's regenerative agriculture. It's in the ground, utilizing everything. So again, we're looking for no E. coli. If you have bad pathogens down the row in a bed, then the entire army is going to go down and take care of that. If it's in a pot, it might lose battle for battle, right?
Sure, and it gives you room to work with, like you can rotate out things on this side of the table as it needs to be taken out or whatever, and kind of amend that soil as there's something still growing on the other side, and then that benefits the other side because you're watering and it all mixes together. I'm excited for it. I just was worried about a few things. The soil as it dries out on the top, if I let it dry out too long and I have fans
No,
blowing everywhere.
I'll walk you through this whole thing.
Okay. Well, I'm not trying to hold you to like that much.
I'll walk you through this
time.
whole thing. This is awesome. I'll walk you through the whole thing. All you got to do is send me some special produce or whatever you're doing. That's all I ask. I have to taste. I have to taste what we're doing.
I've already got things to. I'm actually here. My aquaponics system really loves to grow basil, and this is actually basil I've grown from a couple of harvests and dried, hung to dry and everything.
Great.
And I had to like smash it. Like this thing is like full of basil, and so I'm gonna break it up. And I know Rose wants to try some, and I'm putting it out in swag packs with other stuff and kind of giving people a little free sample to check them out.
Totally.
It's not necessarily going to be my crop or whatever, but it's something that I can do for my fans and my people who like that are supporting me. I can throw out, I can't just send you.
You can take that thing I just sent you and you ask it a question, or what are the benefits? What are the healthy benefits to dried basil, and how do I make medicine out of it? Okay, and that you ask it to that probiotic farmer, and it'll give you full recipes of exactly what it is and how to do it and the benefits to it.
What'll be good for it? Okay,
it's crazy, and you can do that with anything. You'll be able to do that with anything with that tool.
So I got indoors in this room where I'm at. I have peppers, I have arugula, broccoli, radish, green onion, sweet potatoes, brown potatoes, carrots, basil, mint. I said peppers, and I think a philodendron. I call her Phyllis, my only house plant. So I got a bunch of. I have a pineapple growing too in my aquaponic system in water. So it's in.
Great.
It's love and life too.
It takes a few years. It's right. How old is it now?
It's probably 6 months old, maybe.
Cool, man.
So
That's
it's not
great.
old, but I have guppies powering it all. A bunch of guppies powering the whole thing. But I think of all sorts of ways to generate electricity, not just human power, but eventually imagine a giant like tank with bigger fish. There's a lot of water. There's a lot of like the surface tension. I'm thinking of like ways to generate electricity with bobbers or whatever, and it would zap the fish from energy a little bit though. That's the only problem is it would cause that's got to go the pressure has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
The fish would end up with like working a little harder to swim around. I think I'm not sure how it would go, but I have all these like
dog shockers around their neck.
Yeah, I mean, I want to try anything because that's one thing I found about all this is that there's no set road. Like, I don't want to read a bunch of books on how to grow lettuce before I grow lettuce. Like, I want to try it. If I run into something, then I'll maybe do some research, ask somebody or ask the AI or whatever it is. Yeah. I like to just dive in first and just try it out, see what happens, the old school of hard knocks, and then work backwards from there. I mean, some of that is good content. I mean, hey, look, what happened? What is this? And then I show people, and then it goes from there. But yeah, it may not be the best way to go, but I just don't want to be stuck too much to like, well, this is how you grow this, that's how you grow that, because it can be done a lot of ways. Like, there's so many ways. Now, to your point, though, like aquaponics, you are missing the soil, so there is something that you got to add a lot of additives there, but it can be done naturally too. And I never will say that it's better than growing outside. It's about what we can supplement by growing inside, and then in the future having like a greenhouse type situation versus grow lights, because of course that's one thing people always point to is the sun. Like, what do you grow outside at all in
I do
soil?
Indoor, outdoor, and greenhouse. And I love greenhouse. The difference between outdoor and greenhouse is UV light. And so people don't talk about this, but super important. UV light for us, for our eyes, to take our glasses off and walk outside for a walk, not wearing sunglasses. Our body absorbs that UV, and it's really healthy for us. Same with plants. And so with greenhouses, the plastic, the reason why the plastic doesn't break down and lasts, 5 to 10 years or 7 years or whatever, is because they put a UV blocker in it. Mm. So there's no UV light that goes through into a greenhouse. And that's the difference between outdoor product and greenhouse product.
What about glass?
What about what?
What about glass? Like a glass greenhouse?
Yeah, no, glass is fine. You can get through it. With glass, as long as the glass isn't going to have a UV blocker in it. But the plastic does, because the plastic, if you ever seen plastic out in the field, it shrivels up in the first season. So when they add the UV blocker into it, it's probably PFA chemical bullshit. It blocks the UV from breaking down the plastic, which stops the UV from penetrating through the plastic and getting to your plants.
I worry about plastic so much, man. That it's almost impossible to get away from when there's packaging for everything. And like for this table I have, it's really thick, not really easily bendable pond liner, but it's still black plastic. I mean, like I know some plastics are like the plastic different, but we're still working with a lot of plastics, and I don't know if that's ever going to be I mean, I've heard that there are some mushrooms that eat plastic and things like that, but yeah, that's a whole another topic. There's also bacteria.
That's a whole subject I'm on too, so we can save that one for another time for sure. We can go into contaminants in our soils and our waters and our food. I study that in the middle of all that too.
But that's good about the greenhouses. Actually, I want to make sure we emphasize that. I did not know that downfall or the sort of missing piece.
It's not really sun-kissed. That's the reason it's not sun-kissed in this greenhouse. Sun-kissed is fully sun-kissed.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen there's this picture, I don't know if it's a true thing, but I guess a lady had enclosed her house into a glass greenhouse. So her home, she built a greenhouse around it. And all that residual energy and heat from the house helps to keep the greenhouse warm in the winter.
They do that up in Alaska, and it's amazing. These whole thing, they have food in the winter. It's really, really exciting.
Before that, I saw that Alaska had like these. You can have a greenhouse where you dig under like a 6 foot or whatever underground, and then put the greenhouse over top of that, and so you have some soil that's still usable all winter. But that's a whole nother thing, man. Having a greenhouse built around your house. Like I'm all about efficiency and repurposing.
A greenhouse built around your house. Yep, I'm down for that. Man. Or at least off the whole back is just like half of it. I know. I've seen all that. I've seen them heat the greenhouses in the winter with the wood heat, right, and going into the greenhouse off the house. And then I've seen the opposite of that, and they have fans heating the house inside the house in the mornings when it's heating up from the heat in the greenhouse side of it. Right, so it
pulls the heat out. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it works for all year long if that system's working like that.
That's awesome.
And also to keep the plants are growing when the greenhouse is warm because you have wood heat blowing in, and excess too. So it's pretty cool the way the system works. Then there's barrels. We do it like in our greenhouses when up in Emerald Triangle we used to grow. We didn't have power. We didn't have, it was a while ago. And so the best way, we had generators and different stuff, but to be able to fill up gas and carrying gas way in the fucking, 20 miles back on a dirt road, we used 55-gallon barrels, and I'd put like 5 of them together, and I'd paint them all flat black. And then I'd put them in the greenhouse and fill them full of water. And during the day, they would heat up. And that heat within all of them and touching, and I'd put like 5 towards the ends, sets of 5. And in the middle of the winter, and at night when the frost or snow came, it was enough heat for the barrels before it exhausted all the heat through the end of the day to keep it warm enough so nothing would freeze on the inside.
There you go. It was like it's totally efficient energy.
It was all off the grid and everything, and we were crushing it. And they were getting $200, $3,600 for our weed back then, and everybody thought it was indoor. It was light down.
I want to defend myself here.
Growing in the mountains.
Paranoid Eats over on the Rumble says inside is good until you have an outside. Inside is a good start. No, I disagree. I think inside is supplementary, and I think it's an always thing because think about gardeners who grow outside. A lot of them for a month or two before the season starts are doing things inside to prepare, getting seeds started, getting, a whole bunch of their soil mixed and things like that. And so there's so much we can do inside. That's why that's the whole term in the indoor farmer is what is it that you can do to supplement? Say, we used the tomatoes earlier. Let's talk about strawberries. Strawberries are not easy to get far away. So like I'm in Illinois. In the wintertime, you're not getting strawberries, not good ones anyway. And we do a lot of tomatoes here, so tomatoes seem to be no problem. But strawberries, like you're not going to find them. So if I can grow those in the wintertime when they're not being they're shipped from thousands of miles away, sitting on the dock for weeks or whatever. Like, there's a reason why I'm talking about this, and there are countries out there who are going to indoor farms for certain things, like leafy greens, like what is it, Norway, and some of those. I think the other one, I don't know, but some of those countries are doing these indoor farms because they have to supplement from being able to ship things from so far away and being able to get nutrients. Like, yeah, I get that it's not exactly the same or better as good as what you can grow outside, but it might be better than what you can grow with your climate. You might not have good climate all season long.
Climate's going to drive. You guys got to come up with solution. Food needs solution. It's going to drive you wherever it needs to do. It's all okay. All types of cultivation is good. It's just as long as you grow with conscious practices and be responsible with it. That's all really that matters.
Think about the other ways. Like, you got to have a little bit of a consciousness about the other options you have to grow. Like, if you run into a problem, Anyway. We're running into the end of the hour, so it's about that time. You want to we've said some things already promotionally, but you're welcome to do something else, man.
I mean, I just want to say there's no segregation in agriculture. I want people to take that message, right, and don't allow people to put you in that cannabis box, because you're not, And when you're talking about cannabis, talk about food. And talk about being healthy and conscious and labels, and the whole thing matters, right? We're one big agricultural community. We really are. And until we don't accept them trashing us and putting us in a box, we're never going to get out of it. And we are the highest level of agriculture, so we're not the lowest. So it's a massive fight. Fuck you. No segregation in agriculture.
Exactly. I actually say a lot of the similar thing where it's I don't consider myself a strictly cannabis guy. Like, I grow people. The indoor farmer was never started as a cannabis thing, but I knew it was a play on words, and a lot of people make assumptions when they hear it. But then I'm like, yeah, I do grow a little cannabis, but I grow a whole bunch of other stuff too. So it's like it's the same exact mentality that you're saying there. But yeah, thanks everybody. What's up, Ty? You might want to check out the rest of the interview. We had him for 2 hours tonight, man. That's crazy. Yeah. Thank you very much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Amy's over here asking me what I want. Am I going to eat dinner or not?
Right now, we're getting out of here now. Yeah, thank you very much, man. If you haven't hit the like button yet,
I want to say that Brad was talking about Mel Frank, so I was looking at that, Brad. That's cool, man. You're right, man. Mel's a good friend of mine.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I didn't know what you meant at first.
That was back in the comments. I saw that. And then I just saw his name come up again, Brad Slegg. And I was just saying that it was nice to hear someone talk about Mel. He's one of my predecessors, and it's been passed the baton to some of us pioneers that get to pass it on further now down the line. So respect to all the pioneers out there.
Keeping the knowledge alive, even though it was being so demonized, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you again, man. And everybody go check out the website, thesoilking.com. And also there's the link. I have it pinned there for the AI, the probiotic farmer AI that's been developed and exclusive access to this audience right now tonight until it gets buried in the annals of history. But you got to go up, and there is a password. It's in the comments. So you're going to have to wait until this video gets, finished out or whatever. You can go back through and look at the comments. But it's been a pleasure, man. We'll talk again and definitely work something. Maybe I can get on a pod with you sometime. But yeah. Have a good time, man. Everybody hit the like button. We're out of here.
Yeah, we're out of here.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Remember, everybody's got to eat, guys. Every person's got to eat. Peace.